Welcome to the Shine Within podcast. I have here Valerie Maksym. She is a nationally qualified NPC figure bodybuilder competitor. Alongside her physical achievements, she's channeled her experiences into becoming a high performance life coach, public speaker, and an author of the book Maksymizing Life. Today, at the age of 51, which she looked absolutely gorgeous, by the way, like 31. She is proud to say that she is in the best shape of her life and is a firm believer that age is just a number. By breaking free from limiting beliefs and embracing her inner superhero, she shares the potential to create the life we were all meant to have. Thank you so much for joining today.
Oh, thank you for having me on.
Of course. And I would just love to hear about a little bit about your background and how you got into bodybuilding, first off. That's awesome.
Okay. Okay. So how I got into bodybuilding. So when I was younger, I was a gymnast and I started gymnastics young. I mean, old. So for most, I was like 12, you're kind of past your prime, but I loved it so much. And I was in gymnastics. I was like 18 and just loved everything about fitness. And I would watch the girls that competed in fitness competitions, and we used to have posters. So we would put magazines and put posters on our wall, and I would have several of the competitors and just always thought, oh, that's just so cool. Maybe one day I could do something like that. And then I got married. So at 18, I got pregnant, married at 19, and life started. So that kind of was off the table for me doing that. And after my second divorce I was 44 years old after my second divorce. I had just so lost myself through the years that I had to figure out a hobby. And I had a life coach and she's like, what are your hobbies? And I'm like, I don't really know what a hobby means. So I mean, like, what are you talking about? And, like something that you do for yourself, something that's kind of, can be an outlet, just something that's for you. And I had to start thinking about that and I wasn't sure. So I started running and I ran a full marathon in Houston, and that wasn't for me, but I started out doing it. So I was gonna finish, at least do one full marathon. Then I was done. Okay. This running was not for me because I never got the runner's high. I don't understand it. People get it. I never experienced that. So that just wasn't my thing. And then I tried tennis and I'm like, okay, that wasn't for me because the balls kept going over the fence and people were like, we don't want to play with her because she's like, and I had a girlfriend that wanted to go to coffee, and she's like, hey, I'm going to do this bikini competition. And I'm thinking like, okay, where at? Like, are you at some club doing a bikini competition? What are you talking about? We're 45 years old, And she's like, no, like you compete and you work out. And she's explaining everything that I've had wanted to do. And I'm like, well, they have that for our age. Cause I thought, that's the younger ladies, right? And because at that time I would have been 46 years old competing the first time. And she's like, yeah, they do. And so I was like, okay. And I was listening to her and I went home and signed up, not really knowing what I was doing. And long story short, like a week or two later, she texted me and she backed out because she had a bunch of traveling coming up with her husband. And so I had to make the decision, do I want to do this alone or not? Just coming out of a divorce and all that mess was a little, I had zero self-confidence. I had zero anything at that point in my life, and coming out, from panic attacks and just really trying to figure my life out. But I decided, okay, I'm gonna do it. And so ended up becoming my therapy. My first show was, I would have said a disaster except for how it ended. And I can share that if you want me to, but it was definitely, so I had to drive to Dallas. I live in Houston, the Houston area. So I had to drive to Dallas for my first show by myself. No coach, no team. I was just by myself solo, doing everything the cheapest way you could do it, because I didn't have the finances for all of the things that need to go into it. And so I get there and I go on stage the first time and oh my goodness, I didn't have a coach there. We came in on the opposite side of the stage that I thought we were coming in on. I didn't know which way to turn. I'm looking at all these people. I don't know. There was hundreds of people out there because it also had like strongman going on. There's all other events going on. So it was so many people out there watching. And I was shaking and I was like, okay, I didn't know where to turn. And I turned the wrong way. And I mean, I'm just thinking in my head, what are you doing? Like, this is a disaster. You just completely bombed your 10 seconds out here. You don't even know what you're doing. And I had two more rounds to go on of two other categories. But in my head, I'm thinking, okay, I could just like walk off stage and go back to my hotel room and go home and just be like, this was not for me, right? Because it was bad. It was really bad. And so, but the lady grabbed me just in time because I was wanting just to go to my room and turn me back around to go again. I was like, okay, Valerie, breathe. You can do this. I'm trying to talk to myself in my head. Okay, you can do this. You can just, mind you, I'm already going here with zero self-confidence. And what I just did on stage, now I'm like negative, whatever I could be in any kind of self-confidence. Like I was just like feeling, I just wanted to cry. I was like, this is horrible. But I did it the second time and it was a little bit better. I wasn't shaking as bad. And I actually went to the right spot that time. So at least I was standing in the right spot on the stage. I was like, okay, I can do it one more time. I did it and
Yeah.
it's kind of like relaxing. My nerves were coming down. So the last time I wasn't shaking and I did my routine and I was like, okay, now I get to go back to my hotel room and rest because you come back at nighttime for the awards. And so I was thinking, well, should I go back or not? Because I know I got last place and they only award like, I think the top 3 places. And I was like, okay, I'm going to be a sport. And I went down for the awards. And of course, I think the first time around, the second time around, I'm pretty sure I got like 14th out of 14th. Like I got last place and totally expected that because I literally didn't do one thing right. And the third time I went around, I got first place.
Wow.
And that was just something looking back that showed me that, okay, just because something's hard or something doesn't feel comfortable doesn't mean that it's not right, doesn't mean you can't do it, doesn't mean you can't learn it, doesn't mean you can't, it doesn't mean that it's wrong for you. Maybe like I didn't have any self-confidence and I really didn't know what I was doing, but I'm really glad that I had got that first place because I can tell you right now, I would have never competed again, ever. And competing has been my therapy.
Yes, first place. Woo woo. That's awesome. It just reminds me of like relapsing. I don't know if you know my background, but I was
Look
I was an
at
alcoholic, for
that.
many years, and I would relapse, and trying to get better and better, and I was always getting set back. But I always had the end goal in mind. I want to be sober. That was like what I wanted. Just like you, that's what you wanted. You know what? I'm going to get better and better. And I mean, only the third time. Shoot, that was quite quick.
Well, I mean, there wasn't that many in the third round. There was just a few of us, but still, I was like, oh, I was not expecting that by any means. So that was it boosted my confidence back up a little bit after I was just like, annihilated out there in the first 2 rounds. Like, okay, there is all self-confidence went out the window. But anyways, it was good.
Yeah, and don't you notice like we kind of build more confidence when we start accomplishing our goals, and then we're like, oh, if I can do this, and I can do another thing, and then I can do another thing, and it kind of stacks on each other. We can do everything.
Yeah, they say self-confidence is like a muscle. You have to use it. So you're building it time under tension. So you put yourself under tension and things in life and you accomplish and you build, and yeah, you're right. Then you just that's actually why it's in my therapy because so many other areas of my life were growing alongside
Mm.
changing my body because I never thought I could change my body like that. And then I did. And it was like, wow, like even when I was a gymnast and I was only 16, 17, 18, I couldn't do this. And here I am 46 years old, like 4 kids later, stretch marks and all the things. And I still did it. So I was like, well, I just couldn't believe that that was possible. And seeing that obviously then it spills over into your business and your relationships and everything else. Like, well, if I can do this here, I can do this in other areas.
Yeah, once you're doing good, everybody around you is doing good then too.
Yeah.
Everyone feels good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, and so what you are doing now is life coaching, and can you talk a little bit about that? Because now you also wrote a book.
Life coaching is my heart. Like it just has. As far back as I can remember, I've always, been that person to listen to people that are going through hard times and not really telling them what to do, but just asking questions to provoke them to think bigger and not to just think in this moment of, poor me, life is over. Maybe it was a breakup. You can't get past it. You can't move on. You're never going to date again. All the things, you're just like going, okay. And just helping people to think bigger than that. You're created bigger and just know how to ask the right questions and for them to see, they're created for more. And so I've just always done that my whole life. And more so after my divorce and the last 8 years, let's just say. So I divorced now 8 years ago. And I've had one relationship about 3.5 years ago. It ended. And that was about a 2-year relationship in this whole 8 years. So let's say 6 years I've been single. In the last 3.5 years, I've really just had to dig deep and just unravel all the nonsense in my life that just kept showing itself up. So I was married twice, and then I had this relationship, and I kept creating the same things in my relationships, certain behaviors and just things are just bad. You're just like, okay, I'm the common denominator of all of this. And it's real easy to become the victim and say, well, I attract all men who treat me like this, or I attract all, and you're just like, I'm never going to date again because there's no good men out there and this isn't fair. And why do I always, I'm a good person and I've never, done bad things or cheated on anybody or anything like that. But why does that happen to me? And, you just get really upset. And for a while, I get so mad at God. I'm like, I don't understand this. Like, I do everything you tell me to do and follow everything the best that I can. And I just keep getting all these horrible relationships. And I really had to just realize that I was the common denominator. So instead of focusing on the things that I went through with these relationships, I started focusing more on why did I allow it and why did I stay? And I've had so much healing and so many breakthroughs between my competitions. Every competition, I have a major breakthrough. And so the last 8 years, I've pretty much been able to look back on my life and connect the dots and unravel and heal and unravel things and heal and see how everything connected. And it started back when my dad died when I was 12 years old and I watched him. And so that's where everything started from. And so I do realize in coaching, sometimes if people just have that safe space, that I do it through Zoom. So I coach people from all over, and you're on the Zoom and they have that safe hour of space to just talk and be heard and have somebody just listen. And then I ask questions as I feel propelled to ask a question. And sometimes I'll hear what you're not saying. And then I'll say, well, tell me more about this. I understand you're talking about everybody in your family, but your dad, is there, and so then you just start, talking, and then they start talking, and then they start having breakthroughs. And I don't know, to me, that's the most rewarding thing. I've done it for years without even getting paid. I wasn't even a life coach. I just really, really enjoyed it. And so now that I've taken this last 8 years, not a lot of people will take 8 years out of their life to pretty much be on their own. I'm still not, I just now started dating. I'm not dating anybody exclusively. I'm just now putting my feet out there to start dating because it took me 8 years to heal. It really took me 8 years to work on me. And that's a long time. I said when I divorced, I had 6 months, God, I'm married again. And that was my full intention. That was my goal. That's, what I was running for. And I had somebody pull me aside and say, I really worry for you because you don't know yourself. You really haven't been fully unconditionally loved by any man. And I just worry that the first person that you think is so nice, you're just going to fall for. You don't even know yourself. And so I didn't like that. You don't want to hear the truth sometimes, but I really had to think about that because I didn't know myself. And my life coach would talk to me about self-love. And in our sessions, I dismissed it. So I think I had like 12 sessions with her, 8, something like that. I never, even though we talked about it, that was just a dismissal in my brain. Like, okay, I don't like the word. I don't like you talking about it. I feel like that's selfish. Just something about it didn't hit me right. And years later, I was like, okay, I'm still missing something. And this was after my breakup with that last person. And I was like, okay, maybe I don't know what self-love is. Maybe I'm thinking because I love so big, there's something missing in my brain of understanding what this means. And so on my journey of the last 3.5 years, I had an aha moment not that long ago. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this feeling that I have right now of complete love, complete joy, complete peace, complete everything, lacking for like not even desiring for anything. This is that love I've been looking for a man to give me my entire life. And I have it. And I don't have a man. Like, what happened? Like, I'm like, is this what you mean whenever you say that I need to find self-love? Because it was such, had I not experienced it, I would have never even been able to understand, what that meant. But all that time I've taken to take myself out on dates. And, if I'm feeling sad on a Valentine's Day, I'm like, stop it. And I take myself out to dinner and I'll sit at the bar by myself. But, I have to intentionally do those things to be like, your worth and your value, and realizing as a woman, we're all queens and we have to understand how to walk in our queendomhood, I say, if you want to attract a king, you have to be a queen because kings look for queens. And I hadn't taken any time to develop myself. And who was I through all those years? I was playing victim still. Like, this is just what I attract. And I wanted to fix everybody. So I just wasn't putting any value on myself. I would just take the crumbs, whatever would come my way. I would just be so happy to have somebody that wanted me that I would just, and that's just probably the best way to say it. It wasn't, I wasn't a whole person. So I wasn't attracting what was for me because I was so broken that I was just attracting just anything. I wasn't attracting what was genuinely for me. So on this journey, when I really love to talk to women who are going through breakups and divorce to help them recreate themselves, to transform themselves. I didn't change, I transformed. So there's a huge difference. I can't go back to the person I was a year ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, because I keep completely transforming. And it's very empowering when you get there because there is no going back there. I mean, you couldn't pay me. There's no, I don't even know how. If you told me I had to, I'm like, well, I don't really know how to go back to that because I don't even know the steps I would take to go back to that because I've grown and I've been so open-minded to really, study, listen every day. I listen to when I work out, it's podcast, it's things that I'm learning. So hours a day, every single day for 8 years, I've been investing and learning and growing. And, I feel like now it's my, what do you want to say? It's my passion. It's what I'm meant to do now is to turn around and help people that are further behind from me and help them pull them up, like I'm helping them pull up the mountain. But then I also have to turn and look to people that are ahead of me in life and keep, like growing there. So it never stops. We never arrive. I just feel like where we're at in life, we're meant to be there to help others as a
Mhm.
stepping stone. And then I'm still looking up to keep growing. So I talk to so many people and women because I'm now 52, but
Oh, happy birthday then.
I talk to so many women, even men, my age group, and they say, well, we've just, and I can tell you this from like so many people, they say, we just kind of come to a place that this is what life is. And I'm like, what do you mean by that? Like, I don't like, what do you mean by this as well, it just is what it is. I mean, we're kind of at an age, it's not going to change. We're just settled. It is what it is. And when people say that, I just kind of cringe because I'm like, going, okay. And then they'll ask, but I'm saying it in a very kind way, but it's like, and I was there, I understand. All that means is they're just stuck in life where they're at. And so with a life coach, you can come in and you can help them get unstuck from that mindset because when you have still breath and you're still alive, there's still more for you to do in life. You don't ever just get somewhere that you're stuck. It's about getting out of that comfort zone again and growing to the next level and finding new hobbies, maybe traveling, getting out of your comfort zone, getting out of your box, doing new things, meeting new friends. There's so many things, that your life can just continue to grow and become better than you ever thought possible. But when you get in that mindset of this is just it, you tend to isolate yourself. You tend to not go around people anymore. You tend to just kind of stop, and when you do that, I feel like that's when you start aging because then you're just kind of settling. You're not really doing anything. You don't really, I'm like, no, 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 like keep going, keep going. Cause that next level, there's more for you to do in life.
Yes, I love that. And thank you so much for sharing that. And I feel like we've been programmed at a young age to be a certain way, to act this way, talk like this, and just be somebody who we're not. And I think as coaches like yourself help people become their authentic self and that way they can just shine and just be who they are. And like, I think COVID actually, although there was a bad part of COVID, there was actually some benefit from COVID where I'm talking about myself, I took the time to learn and discover what I enjoy doing. I didn't know I like to cook. I didn't know I like to practice eyeshadows. I was just doing the simple eyeliner. I didn't
Yeah,
know I had these in me until I started just discovering and just like, well, why not? I have the time.
yeah, yeah,
We were so conditioned to, wake up, go to work. come
Yep.
back, eat dinner, go to sleep, try to get a workout in sometime during the week, maybe meet some friends on the weekend. It was just all like a robotic lifestyle. And now I feel like everyone's like had some time for themselves and just like, you know what? No.
Right.
I know I'm learning who I am, and I don't want to be that person who I was before. I want to like learn all these different things, whether it be a new language, whether it be like arts and crafts, whatever.
Exactly.
People are starting to come out of their shell and becoming themselves. Now, how important do you think it is for people to be their authentic self?
Oh my goodness, you're on my topic. My next book is on this. I'm writing it right now.
Nice.
It's on unleashing your inner superhero. And basically that's being your authentic self, because we all have, that inside of us. And for myself, when I started being my authentic self around, like, anybody I go on a date on with now, first date, I'm myself. Like, there is no, I don't try to test the waters and kind of see what do they like. I'm just me, because I'm going to show up as me. And if it's not a match, I'm good. Any friendships I have now, because I'm developing new friendships, I'm just myself. And by doing this, I'm attracting some of the most amazing people in my life that I ever thought possible, because it's who's for me. It's the right fit. I'm not trying to make, someone like me. I'm not trying to be something I'm not. I'm just free to be me. And so, yes, being your authentic self to me is everything, because the relationship you have with yourself is the foundation for every other relationship you have in your life. And I share about that a lot, because if you build a house and the foundation's not built strong, it can last a little while, but over time it starts crumbling. So in life, when you keep having friendships and they keep falling apart, and you have friendships and they keep falling apart, I have found that I have to go back and look at myself, because that's been my life. I have friendships, they fall apart. I have friendships, they fall apart. And so I had to go back to my foundation, is my relationship with myself, and it's never been strong, so it doesn't last. And so now that my foundation with myself is strong, now all my other relationships are becoming stronger. Even my relationship with food has become stronger. And you would think, oh, you're a bodybuilder, that's easy. No, it's not. But even things like that are becoming stronger, and not just people, because I have a strong foundation of who I am and my self-worth and my value, and knowing that my health matters. And I see things from a different light whenever I'm coming from a stronger, solid foundation, and working on different areas and different relationships. And I'm also working on my relationship with money and just so many other things outside of just friendships. And it's like, I didn't even realize all this existed.
Yes. Hey, if you've come a long way, if you've made it to like having a good relationship with money, because I've always had the worst relationship with money, and now, I mean, it's gotten a lot better now because it was just going towards booze. But I think people who have you've started building a good relationship with money, you've come a long way. It's just an energy exchange, and
Yes,
yeah.
that's all. And whenever because I had a block on that. That was one of my last blocks, was finances. And I had someone that I was coaching with, and they were telling me, they're like, when you have a block in something, it's just a belief system.
Mhm.
So what is your true belief system around that? Whether you don't believe you deserve it, or you believe it's too hard to get, or there's you have to dig deeper into the coaching to find out what that block is, to unblock it. And I've been able to do that. I had a closed heart. And when I had a closed heart for relationships, for people, for men, for all the things, it was closed in all areas. It was closed for the right opportunities. It was closed for the right people to come into my life. It was closed for the right friendships. It was closed for money to come in. It was closed for everything, because, well, like right now, I'm still a personal trainer, because that's my main job. And then I have, my coaching business, to me, it's a whole. Maksymizing Life is my business. So it's all areas of life. So it all goes together. But I had to really work through that and realize that I have to open my heart up, because if I'm going to bring clients to me in finances, my heart has to be open. I have to feel like I'm approachable, and people want to be around me, and I'm not closed off. So sometimes it can be something as simple as that, is what's closing off your finances from coming in. And I never heard of any of that, but I will tell you, now that I have been able to work on getting my heart open, and I'm just left and right opportunities, and doors are opening, and people and coachings and coming to me. It's just like, oh my goodness. And I'm working on my second book, and I'm speaking it out. That'll be done by the end of the year, by December, but that is the goal.
That's awesome. Yeah, because whatever we say, hey, we're
Yes,
just
we're
announcing it.
announcing it is by December. So I'm like putting that in there. It's 6 months.
Yeah, well, let's talk about the book that you currently have out right now called Maximizing. Now I'm thinking of the Maxim magazine for some reason. That's what came into my head because I know
Yeah.
there's had all these hot girls on there, and there were some bodybuilders there too. Can you talk a little bit about your book?
Yes. So, in writing my book, Maximizing Life, this book is very dear to my heart and it's very simplistically written because when I was in a broken place, the last thing I would have done if you were to hand me a book and it's too much, I just wouldn't have read it, right? So I broke it down into the first 4 chapters are the steps that I took from going from self-doubt, panic attacks, surviving day by day just to get through the day to living a life where I'm thriving, self-confidence, walking in my purpose. So I had 4 steps that I did. So the book can be read in any order. So my goal is as people read these chapters, they're on topic. So the first one is basically on I had to let my baggage go. I had to lighten my load and forgive because I had a vision and I spoke this vision out and I think it came from God. It was just a vision when I was driving. I had to stop and speak it out because it's like it just said, Valerie, your airplane in life. Basically, he was correlating my life as an airplane. And I've been on the ground in life. I've just been down here. I want to go here, but I've been here. And it said, your plane is so heavy with all your baggage of the past because you've been unwilling to let go of it. You've been unwilling to forgive. You've been unwilling you've had anger, you have had things that you've had no closure on. You've had so many things that you've held on to and you've never let it go, but one by one you've been working over the years and letting each bag go, and now your plane is so light you're going to soar to places you never thought possible in life. And I feel so much lighter now after I was able to forgive. And the hardest thing I will tell you on my journey was to forgive myself. I was able to forgive all the other people. And then when I came back, I started realizing things that my kids had been through. It was very hard on me to forgive myself, but I did work on that. And then I go into chapter 2 after I forgave myself. I'm like, okay, well, now what? And I needed to learn what self-love was, even though I had a hard time with that. And I needed to learn what it was, what it wasn't, and just really understanding that that was a key component, because if the relationship I have with myself needs to be the very best one because it's the solid foundation, then I have to love myself. And when I started doing that, I realized I started having boundaries. I stopped like taking the crumbs on things. I stopped letting people talk to me in certain ways. And I lost friendships. I lost things, but it's okay because I found myself. And then I had to go after that. I was going, okay, now what's next? I'm like, well, I still have this voice here and that's telling me all the reasons why, you're not enough and you don't have this degree and you don't have just the things that it will tell you. And so we talk about limiting beliefs in that chapter, like what that means, what they are, I make a whole list of them out for people to say, do any of these resonate with you? If they do, circle them. And so then really think on them. And then we have to work on changing the way we speak. So when the thing, so I had a limiting belief when I divorced, just because the men I was with, that I was literally the ugliest person on the planet. I just was kind of told that in ways. Well, I was told that in ways of my first husband, and it was ingrained in me for 20 some years.
Mm,
I was never enough. Even with the person I just dated, I was never enough. Like if you were shorter, if you had black hair, if you this, if you like, I never measured up. So I just took that as I'm just not. So when I had to start my limiting beliefs, that was a very hard for me. I could not say I am beautiful. Those words could not roll off my tongue. Like I would say I am look, I couldn't even get it out. It was the weirdest thing. And so I had to change that. So every morning I would wake up and say it as best I could. It took me 4 years. And it took me another 3 years to say it like I meant it. In 4 years, I could say, I'm beautiful. It's like, okay, I was trying to get it out, right? Like it would all come out, but you're like, hey, that doesn't sound very convincing, but as I worked on my self-love journey and I worked on my limiting beliefs, then I'm able to say, I'm beautiful. And I realize we're all beautiful. And who says who's beautiful? Why do we have this stigma of to say who's beautiful, who's not beautiful? It's an inner thing. And from, I have found from inside of my belief in myself, that's where I think when people stop me places like, you're glowing, you're so beautiful. Like, I say thank you now. Before I would say, oh no, I'm not, like, before I would just like, because I didn't know how. So now I know how to say thank you. And I realize it's what's coming from my heart. It's what's coming from the inside of my heart. And then after that one, chapter 4, I talk about, I was the queen of having walls up. I had been hurt so much over my lifetime. And every time I would get hurt, because I was vulnerable, and I'd put a wall up. I'm never doing that again. Be vulnerable in a different way. I'd get hurt, put a wall up, never doing that again. And I just did this over the years. And I realized, wow, all those years, 45 years of walls up, I kept the bad out at the end, but I also kept all the good out. Nobody could get to me. So I couldn't even go to networking events and have women talk to me or whatever. I would sit in the back and nobody would ever talk to me. And then I just thought that was because they didn't like me and I wasn't pretty and I wasn't enough and all this self-talk in my head. And it was looking back, it's like, no, you were so closed off that they're probably scared to come say hi to you or talk to you. You had walls up and you were just had that look on your face, like, don't talk to me. And I've realized that love and success come when we're vulnerable. There's no way to do it. If you work in any job, I don't care if you work for yourself, you're going to have to be vulnerable. You're going to have to get out there. You're an entrepreneur, you're going to have to pave the way. If you're in corporate America, there's things you have to do that you're going to have to be vulnerable and put yourself out there and lead. If you want the love and success, the walls have to come down. And as scary as that is, I tell people, okay, bring them down to fences if you have to, where you can peek through, baby steps, but they have to come down, because I've gotten to a place now that I still do bad. I'm not perfect by any means. I still have my things, but I feel like I've come to a place I've really been able to keep my walls down. And I've realized, okay, now my walls are down. Doesn't mean that I don't get hurt. Doesn't mean that people don't say things and things don't get hurtful to me. And that wall would normally want to go up so I can kind of block it. But I have found that now that I have this self-love and I love myself, that when things do come against me or anything does come my way that could be traumatic or anything, I'm able to handle it in such a stronger way. And I'm able to get over it, like sometimes within 24 hours, depending what it is. Where before that could have taken me 2 months out of the game. And I'm 24 hours. I always allow myself, though, to vent over something that bothers me. And I tell my kids that too, because the old me would hold all my emotions in. And that's a whole nother podcast, when you hold your emotions in, the sickness it causes. But so I do allow myself to work through the emotions, but just going back, like you said, your authentic self, loving yourself. One of the programs I wrote is called Who Am I? And I'll ask some people when they hear that, I have a program called that, they're like, please don't ask me that, because I don't think I can answer it. It's very sad, because in the beginning I couldn't either. Like, if you were just to walk up and just out of the blue say, Valerie, who are you? We want to say things like, I'm a personal trainer, I'm a life coach. We don't, it's like, but if you were to take all your monetary things away, you don't, it's just you standing there like to your core. I have to say, I'm a warrior, I am strong, I'm an encourager. These are the things that I am. I am, my belief is like so high in other people. What do you want to say, my positivity, and that, like, these are my gifts and my talents that I'm to share with other people. And so you have to get really down to your core values and who you are. And when you figure those core values out, like my number one core value when I did this core value test is authenticity. And it's very interesting that the men I would attract and was with, you could look at and you're like, okay, they didn't know, it wasn't authentic. So no wonder I had a hard time trying to connect there and never understanding it. Because it takes a lot of work to get to a place in life that you're able to be your authentic self. It's not good or bad. Everybody in life, and I want to say this on a side note, like anybody I've dated, I'm not talking bad about. We're all on a different journey in life, and we're all in different places in our journey. And, I just see such a big picture in people, and I just want them to grow and be. But if they choose not to, and they're still, maybe one day they will, but it just didn't happen when I was with them. Right. But I learned so much. And so I'll never I will never say, oh, I wish all this didn't happen, because I wouldn't be where I'm at today. So I went through these things to get to where I'm at today. And I just realized we're all on different journeys. It doesn't make me better than them. It's just, I'm just on a different journey than they are.
Yes, and I feel like they're all like our spiritual teachers, for good or bad. Whoever comes into our life, they're there for a reason. It's not just by coincidence. I don't really believe in coincidence or anything. It's just like, things happen to us because they're supposed to happen to us. It's
Right.
not happening to me, it's happening for me.
I
Let's
believe
say.
that in my relationships, for whatever reason, there was, reasons of it was part of my journey.
Exactly. And then we learn from him, trust me. Because then we don't look back into those relationships and be like, I don't want to be in that
Yeah.
relationship anymore, those types of people.
We learn, yes, absolutely. I've learned so much. So,
Yeah. So how can people then tap into their gifts to start learning how they can find who they truly are? Like, what are some ways?
for myself, I just had to start trying things. Like you said, you had some free time and you started with your makeup and you
Yeah.
started, just trying different things, cooking and just because then you'll figure out if you like it or don't like it. Like I had to find, kind of get on my path of what was my thing. And I thought, okay, it doesn't really cost anything. I could do running. And I tried and I gave it a shot and it just wasn't my thing. And, tennis and different things like that. But there's so many other things I still want to try, like, but on my journey, like right now, I figured, what do you want to say? My working out and all that was definitely part of my gifts and talents that has led into my health and nutrition and coaching, and just it all ties together with mental and physical and emotional, all the things with my Maksymizing Life package. But I think it just starts in baby steps, just really getting back to, sometimes like, what did you used to like to do when you were younger? And I've had some people tell me, I used to do yoga all the time and I loved it so much. Well, why did you stop? I don't know. I think I need to, get back into, because so just little things like that, I think is just trying and not being afraid to try. I've tried a lot. I can't even think right now, but I'm one I'm in this networking group. So we're always doing different activities and I'll try any of it one time, because I'm at that place where, pole dancing or goat yoga, like all the things, just try them and see, okay, what do I like? What do I not like? I'll go country dancing, ballroom dancing. I've been skiing. I haven't tried snowboarding yet, but just trying all of, just giving it a try and just seeing what you do like and not like, and then being honest with yourself, because I know it's really easy to try things with friends and be like, oh, did you like that? Did you like that? Oh, okay. But not comparing, just being okay to say, well, I'm glad all of y'all like that, but I didn't like it. So I'm going to try this other thing. It's getting to that point that you're able to just really be honest with yourself.
Yeah, and be okay to say that. Hey, I don't like it.
Yeah,
It's not for me. And maybe for you, but it's not for me. It's
exactly.
how we say things too. And our friends that we surround ourselves, I'm sure you've gotten rid of some of the friends that were saying, "Oh, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that?" Because some of them are just kind of haters, like the naysayers, like always trying to like put you down if you're doing something awesome. Those people just need to go, right? I just feel like surround yourself with people that you actually want to be like,
Yeah, exactly.
admire,
Right.
so where you can just help each other and find love in each other and have
Mhm.
fun together. We're all here on life on the planet Earth to experience as much as we can.
I
It's
think you
it's
just
just
one life. It's like, why not just like every day I tell people, just create the best life today that you can. Like, I like to think about it like, okay, just remember when you're back in second, third grade and you had a field trip you're going on, you're just thinking, what's tomorrow going to bring? You can't sleep. You're so excited. And so I like kind of think like that anticipation each day I get up and then I'm like, okay, I'm excited for today. I can't wait to see whose path I cross and who I get to speak to and the opportunities and the doors that open and just living life and out of that standpoint, and where you focus is where you go. So I'm going to keep focusing on creating the best life that I can possibly create every single day.
yes, we're here to create. So
Yeah.
to do as much as possible, and then that's where our creativity comes out is by just trying at least. Just try something different once. Every day do something new, okay? That's gonna be the rule. That's your task today, people. Just kidding. Now, I wanted to talk a little bit about we kind of like talked a little bit about expressing your emotions and then also versus like suppressing them. How important it is to use your voice because what happens when we start suppressing our emotions?
So I lost my voice, and after going through all the things that I went through, and so let's just say, so when you suppress your emotions, I'll just tell you, tell you really quickly. So my dad passed away when I was 12, and I was up with him when it happened. He had leukemia. He was home from the hospital. My mom was tired. It was in the night, so I was up with him. He fell in the bathroom, bled out. I saw it, ran to my room. My mom ran in there. She didn't know I saw it, and life went on the next day like nothing happened. So when you say how suppressing emotions, back when I'm 12 years old, I was in sixth grade. I began having severe panic attacks. Didn't tell anybody because I didn't know at the time that's what it was. Outer body experiences, walking in the hall, like, oh my God, I'm dying. Like, what is happening? My heart's racing. I'm sweating. I'm like, okay, I don't know what is going on. And it happened from sixth to 12th grade, like every day. And so because of that, I didn't have any friends because I'm not going to talk to people. Like, I just feel like this weird, out of place, not sure person. So I became labeled quiet, shy, um, didn't really have any friends, wasn't in any of the cool groups, never had a boyfriend in high school, never got asked to a school dance. Held all of that emotion in. The first boy that liked me, he had already been in and out of jail multiple times. I got pregnant, got married, you know, started a life with an abusive relationship that I should not have been in for 10 years. He did try at one point to kill me. That's how I got out of that relationship. Immediately 6 months later, met someone long distance, different state, married him, had a baby got pregnant in the first 6 months, was in that relationship where he was very overpowering over me. So I lost my voice. Nothing I said was right. Nothing I did was right. And so when you say, how does that affect? So all the way back from 12 years old of holding in that emotion affected me until I was 44, 45 years old, till I started working on it and really healing. And I did not heal from my dad's death till I was 50 years old. I went to his gravesite to a bodybuilding competition. I finished it, and something kept telling me to go to his gravesite, go, and I would not go. I was just angry. I was angry that he left me and all these things. And me and my mom never talked about it afterwards. And at 50 years old, I went out there, and I literally, the second my tire hit that gravesite, I started crying like I've never cried in my life. I'm talking like, I don't even know how it's possible, buckets. And I went out there, and it was pouring down rain in Texas, storming. And I'm trying to find his tombstone. I couldn't find it. I had to call my mom, break my ego down. I didn't want to call her because I didn't want her to know I'm there. And like all the stuff she had to find out I'm there. Like, great. But it was the most healing moment I've ever had. And then from that and writing my book, I was able to share with my mom, because at first she was really upset. She's like, it hurts me that you say we didn't talk about your dad's death the next day. And I'm like, well, we didn't.
Mm-hmm.
My brother says the same thing. My mom did not know until I was 50 years old that I saw what happened to my dad. She didn't know it was in there.
Oh, wow.
She never knew. 50 years. She never knew from 12 years old to 50. So 38 years, I was holding all that emotion.
Wow.
And then by holding that as emotion, I was attracting people that weren't for me, that then gave me more negative, toxic emotion in that abusive marriage for 10 years. And then I had all that emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go into another marriage that you think, and then you have all that emotion. And then you're like, you feel like you're just going to pop. Like, you're just like, I can't. Both the last year of that marriage, I had the most severest panic attacks in my life every single day.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I'd never worked. I was a stay-at-home mom. I have 4 kids. How am I going to leave? I mean, I've never worked. Like, I mean, I'm saying it's a lot. It's a lot when you start looking at paying rent and a car note and car insurance but I got to the point that I'm like, I can't, I'm going to die. Like, my physical, my health is getting so bad from all of this emotion that I don't know how to release. And it's settling into my health, and I have to do this. And it was a huge step of faith, and it wasn't easy. It was very hard. And again, like I said, it's been 8 years it's taken me to heal. And I'm just now, like this month, like, or the end of May, I've been on 2 dates. Like, I've just now healed enough to say, I know what I want in a relationship. I'm healthy. I'm whole. I'm ready to attract all the things that are for me. And and it hasn't been easy. And but it's been a journey. And so when I speak and talk places, I just like to encourage other people where they're at, that anything is possible. You're not ever stuck in a way that you may think I thought I was. I mean, like, because if you look at it on paper, there's no way I should have been able to leave. There's no way I should have been able. I don't even know to this day how I've made it this far. I just know I just got out and I did, and things just, keep
Getting
falling.
better and better, huh? Yeah, every day is getting better and better.
Right, right. And it's
Yeah.
finally to the point, I'm like, okay, I know my purpose to be on this earth. I know my calling. I know what I'm supposed to be doing. And I'm just walking in it. And I don't know every day. I'm like, okay, I don't know exactly how things are going to work, but I do know if I'm doing all that I know to do, I do know, doors keep opening and opportunity keeps happening. And it's like, okay, I'm just following my heart and the path.
Yeah, you're going through flow.
Oh,
You're going
exactly
through
what
flow.
I'm doing. And trust me, that's not always easy when you're just like going, okay, we are trusting. We're just flowing with this. And this is
Yes, it's like every time there's always a challenge in my life, I'm like, well, all right, challenge accepted. Let's go. You
exactly.
have to. You have
You do.
to.
You have to. And I used to be very masculine in my energy. That has nothing to do with being male or female, but my energy was very get up at 4:30, drive, pound it into the ground till 10:30 at night, go, 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 do, knock doors down. And I've recently come into some teachings on feminine energy and how I, need to be more in my feminine energy, where I'm doing all the things I know I need to do every day. And then I'm sitting back and I'm attracting, and I'm the right people, the right opportunity, the right things will come to me. I don't need to go be knocking people's door down. I don't need to be, what I'm saying, like making things happen, because my past, I look back, I'm like, I was a wrecking ball. I made things happen. I was type A personality. I could make things happen, but they weren't the right things. I was just making stuff happen. I could make relationships happen. I could make, you know, but then you look back and you're like, all that work I put in, it was so hard and so much work and so much effort. And then it just falls apart. And it's like it wasn't the right thing. So I'm learning to adjust my energy in also let emotions go and let myself cry. That's some emotions leaving the body. People think that's a bad thing. There's moments when I have hard days. I would love when I can cry. I feel so much better after I cry. I'm like, yes, thank you. I could cry.
I love actually just releasing any emotion. If I'm angry, I will go release that somewhere where there's nobody around. If I have to punch the pillow or whatever. But
Right,
if
right.
I need a good cry, I will cry too. And it feels so good. And so
Yeah,
whenever I tell my kids if they're crying, I'm like, cry it out.
yeah, exactly.
Let me love you. Let me,
Yeah,
if you want me
yeah,
to give you some space, I always tell them just cry it out. It's okay. Let it out.
right,
Because I was always taught, "Oh, don't cry, don't
right,
act you're a
right.
crybaby," and then we suppress those emotions, and then we
Don't let
attract
anybody
that
else see.
wrong energy, and then we're in that cycle again.
I think as women, we're like, don't let anybody see you cry, like, hide it. And, now when I talk to women, different places I go and speak, I mean, 9 times out of 10, they have tears in their eyes. And I'm like, please cry. Like, just, you're safe to cry. And then, they feel good. It's like, I don't want to stop that emotion because it needs to come out.
Yeah, that's why we have them.
Exactly.
That's why we have
Exactly.
them. But yeah, yes, as when we are well, for myself, when I am angry, I am taking responsible for my action. Because I used to seriously, I was very bad. I was very physically I was the abuser to
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
guys because
Yeah.
I was so angry because of what happened to me as a child with sexual
Yeah.
trauma.
Yeah.
And so I was angry all the time, and that's how I released my energy, was just like
Right.
drinking and then that, like just throwing fits. So bad that I went to jail for it.
Right.
And then people look at me like, "There's no way that that's you." I said, "Trust me, you weren't there. It was me. I am transformed now." I had to do a lot of work. It was a lot of healing, but
And I tell people, just on a side note, maybe you kind of, and trust me, I'm not a therapist. So this is my own thoughts on this. And I feel like sometimes some really good people that do bad things and people are like, how did that happen? There's stuff like you're saying, I think when you don't handle your emotions, and it's year after year and you're building and building and building, it gets to a point there's nowhere else in your body to put it, that's when people go over the top and do things that are so out of character. And it's like, oh my gosh, that person's never even gone to jail or anything, and look what they do, something so horrible because they didn't know how or whatever to release all of that emotion inside of them, because I think we can only handle so much of it before we are going to go off on somebody.
Yeah, or our bodies, we get sick, you
Yeah,
know? Something will like shut us down somehow.
important to invest in yourself and take some time, whatever it is. Find things that help you, you know, find some peace. There's lots of different ways for that.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for sharing all this. Now, where can our audience find you or follow you?
So the easiest thing I have everything is Maksymizing Life, but my last name is spelled Maksym. So it's maksimizinglife.com. And my handles on Instagram and Facebook are Maksymizing Life.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Is there anything else you'd like to share or give a special advice?
Anybody I talk to, I just say when you can live your life being your authentic self, I have found that every area of my life just starts getting better and better, because it's like that's life. You're living from life, and life breathes life. And so just giving yourself permission to be your authentic self in all situations.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Valerie.
Thank you.